Hello Flosstube, this is Sandy and this is my channel, Stitching with Sandy. Today is January 4th, 2023. Happy New Year. This is Flosstube number 32 and this is a different Flosstube than normal. I'm going to share my WIPs today and do my WIP parade. My totals for the year of 2022 was I had 102 finishes and all of those except for 2 are FFO'd. And then I left the year with 27 WIPs I'm going to show you here, plus the 6 from New Year's Eve. So that gives me a grand total of 33 WIPs altogether going into 2023. I did do a couple of new starts, so I will have 6 of those as well. But that's where I'm at right now. So I'm going to show you my WIP parade. I did not iron anything, so I'm sorry. But I hope that you enjoy this. And hopefully my plan this year is to start eliminating these. And I definitely will add more because I can't help myself. All right, so my first WIP is Hands on Design, the 17th. I started this one last year during March. I wanted to do March Madness, and I never got back to it, unfortunately. By the time March Madness ended, St. Patrick's Day had passed, and so I put it away for this year. And this is all I got. I started the side banner. And that was what I did in 1 hour. So when I did March Madness, I chose 12 projects, and I did 4 different categories, and then they competed an hour in each. Whichever one had the most stitches at the end of 1 hour, moved on to the next round. Out of those 12 March Madness pieces, I only actually finished 4 of them. So I learned my lesson that I will not do March Madness again. I don't want to end up with a bunch of WIPs, didn't have much work on them. And a lot of the ones I chose were large projects, so there was no way I would have gotten them finished within the month of March. So I probably won't do March Madness this year. All right, next up. This one I started for Valentine's. I am a seasonal stitcher and I like to stitch during the season. So I started this one in February and I did not completely finish it, but I plan to finish it for this year. It is Stitching with the Housewives Calendar Crates February. Now I did finish the little piece. Here's the little piece and it's ready to go. And here is the big piece. This is stitched on 14 count blackboard Aida. I prefer doing most of my pieces in black, but because I was part of the club, they sent this fabric, so I went ahead and stitched it with it. And it would normally go in this area right here. I haven't taken down all my Christmas yet, so my January is not up, but my January is complete. So that one should be done in time for next month. All right. My next piece is Prairie Schoolers February, and I'm stitching the big piece. I love this piece so much. As a teacher, we celebrate everything. We celebrate President's Day, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Groundhog's Day, and Valentine's Day. And this piece has a little bit of every holiday in it. So it was right up my alley. And I love this piece so much. And this is where I got. And the only reason it's not finished because I was stitching during the month of February and did not complete it. So my goal is to have it up this year. I've got the cute little groundhog with his little American flag. He's so cute. And there is George Washington's cherry tree and his axe, and their names are Abraham Lincoln and George Washington are inside the writing along with the years of their lives. I love that. There's the log cabin. This piece is so cute. I really enjoyed stitching on it, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it. And I'm stitching it on French Polka Dot Natural by Fabric Flair. So that's why it has the little polka dots in it. And you'll notice that I'm sitting in a different location in my house, because I needed my big giant table. There's so many projects and I needed a place to set them after I showed you. So I moved locations just for this video. All right, next up. This was my birthday stitch last year. I did not get very far on it before I put it away. So I'll continue working on this year. I love this floss, I'll show you. I chose to do Lila Studios Nevermore for my love for crows and ravens. I just think it's so beautiful. And this stitching down here is where I'm at. I'm doing this right here, and it's really heavily stitched. But the color is Lagoon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lagoon, but it's this like pretty green, tealy color, dark teal green. I think it's so pretty. And that's by Gentle Arts. If you're interested in that color, it's Lagoon. I went back and ordered several more since I started this piece just because I liked it so much. This one is stitched on 14 count hazy gray fabric flare. And here's my progress. So I stitched this one on my birthday stitch, and then I did a little bit more after that, and then I put it away. Probably should have stitched more. My lesson learned on this one is I'm probably not a holiday new start person. I would use a new start for if I went to a retreat in memory of that, but for my birthdays and things like that, I don't really think that I need to do that. So I probably won't do that again. One thing I noticed about the year 2022 is it was a year reflection in regards to my stitching. I learned a lot of lessons, things that I'm happy doing, things that I'm not happy doing, things that I tried that were successful, and things that I tried that were not successful. And that's what we should do in life. Try new things, and if we don't like it, we can change it. And if we love it, then we have a new thing to try and to add to our lives. So this time I did a sow with the Fat Quarter Shop, and I'm trying to see if I have the color of fabric. I don't, but I believe this is 28 count sage, 28 count sage Lugana, and this is the pattern. It was their stitch alongs. It was their sunflower sampler. This is what it looks like. I love this. And here is my progress. I love this so much. And so I can't wait to get back to it. I think it's pretty though. I did make a change on this one. The colors, I'm stitching mine, I believe in just DMC, yes. But it had one color, charcoal. And charcoal they used for the center of the sunflowers and I think this border. Well, I switched that to, I believe, $37.99, but let me make sure. Yes, no, $33.71, because I believe that sunflowers should have brown in them. So I did, I switched it to a really dark brown, and I like that much better than the gray. And the funny thing is, I think when Kimberly shared her finished one, she said that she wished she had switched that color too. So I think she feels the same way. All right. Now this one, I have no excuse for not stitching on it, to be honest. This one I'm doing in remembrance of my sister-in-law, whom I love very much. And she passed away, and this was my stitch in remembrance of her. And my plan is that when I finish it, I'm going to hang it, frame it, and hang a picture of her with it. Maybe even frame her photo with this piece together. And I'm talking about Silver Creek Samplers, When Life is Done. So when she first passed away, I stitched on it, and then I stopped, and it was supposed to be my WIP go, and I was supposed to stitch 10 hours 2 times on it, and I never did. I think it was just hard to pull it out and do it, but I think my grieving time is getting easier, so I think it'll be a lot easier to get it out now. And this is the piece. So I've got the tombstone here, the beginning of the woman's dress, and the sun rising. Hopefully I'll get back to that. This is stitched on 28 count mushroom Lugana. and I'm stitching it with all the called for colors, which are DMC and a few weeks dye works. And I think there's a couple of Gentle Arts as well. The next one, this was a March Madness one. One of my categories was sunflowers. And this one is Little House Needleworks, Little Miss Sunflower. I've always loved this pattern. I can't wait to be complete with it. But I've been working my way. I did one sunflower during March Madness, so I did this sunflower. And then since then, I started working up on the house. And I think, and the stem up here for the other sunflower at the top. So I know that when we get to summer, I'll be ready to start this again and finish it up. It's not a very big piece. All right, next up. All right, so this one was one of my bucket lists. So I made a bucket list in 2022 and I chose 12 projects, and each project was something I've never done as a needleworker, and I made those my 12 for 12 last year. And my plan was that then I would work on one of them a month. By the end of the year, I would have completed 12 different new things in the year that a needleworker should be able to do. For example, a berry, stitch a berry, stitch a drum, stitch a needle book. I was very successful on the WIP. I only failed, I want to say 4 pieces I didn't complete. There was a needle roll I haven't completed yet. You'll see that soon. This is a sampler, but I didn't really fail in the sense that I wanted to stitch a sampler. Samplers are not normally my thing, but I wanted to try one after all. And I saw this pattern and we're still looking into it, but the last name caught my eye because it's my maiden name. And when I asked my dad, because inside the book, it's a blackbird, inside the book, it didn't have very much information about the little girl other than who her parents were and where she grew up, or where she was born. And when I asked my dad if that could possibly be relative, and we talked about what the information was from the chart, we have a couple of people that are into genealogy in our family, and he said, it sounds like that's the location of some of our family members. So he was going to look into that and get back to me. So whether or not we're related, the fact that she has my maiden name made it important to me to want to finish it. And I'm talking about Maria Selby Humphrey in 1831. This is the Blackbird book of it, and this is the sampler right here. And I love this sampler. It just, not only is it because she could possibly be related to me, but I liked the quote on it too, and I want to see if I can bring it up so I can read it to you clearly without, I'm trying to see if it has it written somewhere in here that I could just read it. It says, the education forms the common mind, just as the twig is bent, the tree is inclined. A good conscience is both the testimony and reward of a good life. Virtue is the foundation of honor and esteem and source of a order and happiness in nature. And I love that it talked about education because I felt like that spoke to me as I am a teacher. And so when I started, people think I'm nuts. I know a lot of people don't like borders, but I love borders. So I started with the border. I didn't get very far because, as I said, it was my 12 for 12, and this is as far as I got. But I really do want to get back to it. This is a 28 count bone Joblin. I like it because this bone color has got a little pink tint to it. And I felt like this design looked like it was stitched on something that was kind of pinky and pinky brown. So I thought this would look nice with it. So I'm hoping to get back to that this year. And the reason why I said I don't think I failed that goal was because I did stitch and complete a sampler by Teresa Kogut. So I did do a sampler, and I do love that sampler very much, but I still would like to complete this sampler as well, because whether she's related or not, we do share the same last name, which makes it special to me. All right. This next one I was working on because of my husband. The piece is buried. All right, this one is stitched on 28 count mushroom Lugana, I believe. No, 28 count lamb's wool Joblin. Sorry about that. And this is Lizzie Kate's A Good Marriage. I was gonna do this for our wedding anniversary. I missed it. That's all right, I still got time. Can be early for next year. So this is how far I got. And I did work on this several times throughout the year, but I need to go a little further still. I think I'm about halfway. So, and then for this one, what I did on this one, as far as the colors go, is my favorite colors are reds and greens, and my husband's favorite color is purple. So that's why you see purple here. And then, so what I did was I went to Michael's, since we don't have a needle workshop, and I had my husband pick out his favorite color, purple, out of the choices that were there in DMC. And then I picked out my favorite colors, and that's what I'm stitching with. So otherwise I'm stitching the cauldron, which is the called for color for the dark. I am stitching with cauldron. His color that he chose was DMC 550, and I chose Classic Color Works Manor Red. I love that dark, deep red. And then I chose Gentle Arcs Pine, because I like the dark green as well. And then the rest I'm stitching in the called for colors. Those were the only ones I changed, because I wanted him and I to both be a part of this design. Hopefully I'll have it done by this year. Our anniversary is December 10th, so I have a long time before it needs to be finished. I'd like to frame it and hang it in our bedroom. All right, this was another one that I did for March Madness. I really like this pattern a lot. This one is out of the Winds of Autumn, Blackbird Winds of Autumn. And the one I am doing is, it's called First Winds of Autumn, and it's that giant berry. Although I don't know that I'm gonna make it a giant berry. I really like this piece a lot. This is how far I've gotten. And I just feel like if I make it a berry, I won't get to see as much of the raven as I could. So I'm probably not going to make it a berry, but it is beautiful. I do enjoy stitching on it, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I think I'll be done pretty quick once I get back to it. And that one stitched on, I keep forgetting to tell you, this one stitched on 32 count, I think it's natural linen. I believe it's natural linen. It's funny, you do these floss tubes and you think you'll remember to say those things, and I always seem to forget. Now this one was supposed to be my car piece. I can stitch in the car, but I can only stitch on Ada in the car. So it has to be 14 count so that I don't need an extra light or magnifier. So I am doing, and then I haven't gone anywhere to do it, so I haven't done much work on it, but it's from this Prairie Schooler Harvest Time, and it's this one with the little village. And I'm literally over here where this tree is, but it won't look like anything. See, I didn't get very far. So I need to do a road trip so I can work on it. No, I'm just kidding. I can work on it if it's not a road trip, but I hope to have that done for fall. I really like that pattern. Next up, oh, I went to the Jingle Ball, and at the Jingle Ball, one of the classes that I took was by Noteworthy Needle, and the class was to make this cute little foldable thing. It's seasonal, and what you do is when you want to use it, all right, so here's fall. You prop it up on your table like this, and it stands up on its own. And then you would have a piece here and here. And then when the season changes, you just flip it, and then you can prop it up on the next season. And you just keep going until you've done all the seasons. So right now it's winter. So here's the winter one. And one of the things that Janice said was you should stitch winter first, put it out, and then you have a whole season to finish the others. So I took the class and I didn't stitch very much, but here is the pattern. It's called a change of season. And this is the winter one. So yeah, there we go. There's the winter one. So it has a motif at the top and then the word winter at the bottom with a little bit of designs. So for the class, I only got this far. That's all I was able to do while I finished this in the class. So, and what Janice did was she used some ink pads and inked the perforated paper so that we would have a little bit of modeling on it and some color. So I really need to get back to that soon so that I can start displaying it. I was really amazed by the way this turns around and changes. That even though I originally didn't think that was something I'd want to stitch, now just because of the paper folded piece, I'm anxious to get started on it. All right, this next one, I put this one away when Teresa Kogut came out with Strawberry Manor. But what's funny is it's the same thing. So this is, I'm part of her Patreon. This is called Strawberry Delight, and this was April's Patreon piece. And this is it, Strawberry Delight. And I'm working on black, and I got about halfway on it. When we started Strawberry Manor, I put it away. So here's what I finished already. It's so beautiful, and the way that it pops on black is amazing to me. So I will probably begin working on this to have it ready for June this year, and then I'll have 2 strawberry pieces to hang. Although I think that the Strawberry Manor is going to hang all year long, and this one will be my seasonal one. So that's stitched on 14 count black Aida. Okay. Next up, this is another one for March Madness. You're going to see that, like I said, doing March Madness, I did have fun. The event itself was fun. I did it with my friend Barbara. The only thing was, it was a bummer because you can't get much done within that time frame, and then it's time to move on to the next piece. And if that piece didn't have the most stitches, then you don't come back to it unless you do it at a different time in the year. So therefore, I started it and I didn't get back to it because this one didn't have a lot of stitches. And I think it's because there's a lot of confetti in this. What it is Buffalo Plaid Summer. Here is the design. This is by Stitching with the Housewives, and it's in the magazine Punch Needle and Primitive Magazine. And this was the 2021 issue. So if that's something you're interested in, that's where you can find it. So I was working on the beehive right there. And you can see there's a lot of color changes in the flowers around the beehive. And so, or bee skep. And so this is all that I got, which isn't very far. And that's on 14 count black Aida. All the called for colors. All right. This is one of the bucket list ones. Now this one, a friend of mine went to a retreat and she saw this on the freebie table and she remembered that I was talking about doing a bucket list. And she remembered that one of the things on the bucket list was a needle roll. And so she picked it up thinking that that would be something that I could do. And Just looking for the piece that's actually stitched on. Oh, there's like a bunch of pieces. It's because there's several pieces in this pattern. So this is the Sweetheart Tree, and it's called the Acorns and Needlework Accessories. And here it is. And I was going to do this one because that's the needle roll. Never done a needle roll before. And she knows that I'm seasonal stitcher, so she picked it out so I could do it in November. And I am stitching it on an a linen. And it's the linen that came with this. I'm not really sure. Oh, 28 count light mocha cashel linen. And this is how far I got in that 1 hour. Not very far. This is the top of the acorn. So I'll have to get back to that because I do want to have a needle roll just to say that I've done one. And I would just put it on display. I wouldn't actually use it. I just feel like if you're a stitcher, there's certain pieces that's historically done by stitchers, and I feel like I need to do them. I've been stitching so many years and I've never done one, so that's what came up with the bucket. That's how I came about having a bucket list. All right, one of the things on my bucket list was to do a mill hill. I have never stitched a mill hill, and so I chose their Buttons and Beads Autumn Series, and I'm doing ravens, and this is it. I think it's so pretty. I love that moon. And this is as far as I've gotten, which isn't very far at all. During that hour, I was like, well, I'll just stitch one of the ravens and see how far I get. That was it. I didn't take it back out. All right. All right, so another thing that I was part of, this WIP comes from this retreat. So I did a virtual retreat with Friendsgiving, and this is Friendsgiving 2021. Yes, because I didn't do 2022. And it was, pretty sure it's 2021, I'm just checking. Yeah, and it was this pattern, is the pattern they give us, an autumn gathering, let joy in. And I love this piece so much. So I have stitched this on 14 count vintage country mocha. And I am in one corner of it. Hold on, let me get it for you. And there it is. So I've completed the border and one quarter of the piece. And when you look at the pattern, it doesn't look like very much, but I did right here. So I still have quite a ways to go. I love this piece. It's a collaboration of Heart and Hand and Bent Creek. And so I just love it. It's beautiful. I bought the whole kit. I didn't stitch on it during the Friendsgiving, but I started working on it thereafter, and when fall ended, then I carried it into last year. I didn't do a WIP parade last year. I didn't know how much people enjoy watching them, so I didn't know that was a good thing to do. So that's why I'm doing it this year as my first one. Hopefully the patterns are interesting enough for you to stick around. All right, so this one is another one from March Madness. It was my sunflower category, and this is called, it's by Annie Bees. It's called Advice from a Sunflower. I love this piece so much. And I didn't get very far because I always start at the bottom right corner. So you can see, that's what I did on this one. So there's a lot of nothing. This is a 14 count black Ada. And then I'm down here at the letter H and this beginning stem of the giant sunflower. So that's the H for high. That's the last H in high. So I didn't get very far, but I love the saying. It says, rise and shine and hold your head high. And I always think of that. I like that one, caught my eye. When I was growing up, I learned that sunflowers follow the sun. And I remember when we learned it that I didn't know that that was true. So I'd spent a whole day sitting outside. I think I was reading that day because I love to read. And every little while or so, I would look up at my grandfather's sunflowers growing in his garden. And I noticed that they did change positions. And I tried for an hour to stare at the sunflower thinking that I would see it happen in real life, but of course I did not. So I would read, and then I would look up, and then I would notice that it moved. And then by the end of the day, I realized that it did follow the sun all the way around. And then at night, it drooped down until the next day. I thought that was really neat that the flower knows to do that. So it's one of the reasons why I like sunflowers so much. All right, so this next piece was a piece I saw on 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I had never stitched this designer before, but sometimes when I'm looking through 1, 2, 3 Stitch, what I'll do is I'll pick a designer I've never heard of, and then I'll scroll through all of their designs, and then usually I'll try to get one by them. So this is Sarah, that's the designer, and this is Spring. And I love the little village, and it has some spring motifs at the top. It's a very big piece. I'm stitching on the 28 count bone Lugana. When I had ordered this fabric, that's why there's several pieces with it. When I ordered it, I only ordered for the one piece, and somebody sent me 2 yards of it. I know that was a complete mistake. But when I called, they said, oh, you can just keep it. So I did. So I did a lot of projects on it that year. And this is where I just did the bunny motif at Easter time. I love it. It's so cute, and I can't wait to count down to the village and start the village. I think it's pretty. I bought another piece by her. I want to say winter. I believe it's winter. It could be winter, or she had just a regular village. And I bought that too. So I think they're unique, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. All right, next up is hands-on design. I chose this one to do for my daughter. She loves cats as much as I do. And so this is a hands-on design. It was also a bucket list because it's a cube or one of her mattress finishes, which I've never done before. So this was one of the bucket list ones. And it's the Block Party Meow. And my daughter has an orange tabby, so when I started, it just so happened that the orange tabby was at this end. So I haven't gotten very far, and I'm looking forward to finishing it this year and being able to gift it to her. Although now she's a stitcher, she could probably stitch it herself, but if I stitch it, then that gives her double the amount of pieces to have. One for me and one she stitches herself. All right, now this one, I have to laugh about this one. I wanted this patterns so badly when they came out. When I saw they came out, I was like, I have to do it. What a great concept. It reminded me of years ago where people would put boards with the word home either in their porch, their front porch where you come in, their entryway, or somewhere in their house. And the center, the O, was like different wreaths that people would change out. Some woodcutter people would cut different wood shapes and you could paint them, and people displayed them. And I always wished I had one, and I never did. So when this came out, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it. And I saw after I started, everybody did shortcuts. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about stitching it with the housewives, and this is called Home is Where the Wreath Is. So of course, I bought this pattern, and I bought both the wreath swaps so I would be able to change them out because I was all gung-ho. So I stitched the H and the O simultaneously because I knew it was a lot of white, and I knew that I would get burned out, so I stitched them simultaneously. So I did a strand in the H, and then I did a strand in the green, and then I did a strand in the H and a strand in the green until I had them finished. And so there, the H and the O's finished, and my plan was that I could do home with this one, get it up so it's on display in my house, and then come back and do the others after, later. Then I could change them out. Well, here is the next piece, and I don't have the M on it. So I need to do the M and the E, and then at least that part will be done. So I just have 2 more letters. I also stitched, I combined. So just in case you're wondering if you can do this, this is Sulky 12 weight white, and that's what I'm stitching, 1 strand on it on the letters. And then I did the wreath with Little Sprout from Classic Colorworks. And so as you can see on here, it has both of them, and it still looks good, even though these are two strands and the sulky is 1. It still looks the same, and that's because the sulky thread is thicker. So I'm hoping to do, I have a new, if you've been watching my Flosstube, you know that I have a new plan of how I'm tackling my projects this year. I have decided that I'm going to have a morning stitch as well, and that way I can just pick whatever during the week, and I'll just stitch on it the 1 hour before work every day until it's finished. And so I was thinking that this would be a good candidate for that, because I would just stitch an hour on it, and if I do that, eventually the letters will be done. All right, so the next piece, I don't see the original pattern, but it is the Hawk Run, the village of Hawk Run Hollow, but it's not the whole village. I'm not sure where I put the pattern. I'm just doing the schoolhouse because I want to hang it in my classroom, and this is how far I've gotten. So I just need, there's a couple of kids playing in trees, and I need to finish the top of the house. And this one I was stitching because my friend who loaned me the pattern, I stitch with her the second Saturday of the month when we do our SoCal Stitcher get together in Temecula. And since she loaned it to me, I wanted to stitch it whenever I was with her. And we haven't gotten together too frequently because one of us doesn't always make it there. Sometimes it's her, sometimes it's me, and sometimes it's both of us because nobody else is going, so we don't go. She comes up from San Diego, so I don't get to see her quite as often. So I wanted to stitch it when I'm with her. So I'll finish it up this year though. All right, the next one is from March Madness, and I love crows and ravens, and I love sunflowers, but I also love weeping willow trees. I've never owned one, but I think one time I went somewhere where there was one, and I couldn't believe how beautiful those trees were. So one time when I was searching for a pattern, I decided to look for that, and I found Carriage House Samplings, the Willow Tree Sampler. And look at all those birds on there. It's perfect. So I started it on 28 count sage Lugana. Sorry, I always say Laguna, I don't know why. Lugana, and there I am. So I have 1 branch started, 2 of the birds on there. The branch goes all the way down, and I started the border. So I really, really love this one. It's so pretty. It makes me happy. And it says Hannah Lane, April 1856. I probably won't put her name in there. I'll probably just stitch that all green. Nothing against Hannah, but I don't want to have it on there. So I'm going to eliminate it. And that I am stitching with DMC. I chose DMC, not silks. Oh, we're almost there, you guys. I'm hoping that I'm doing this right. You can comment below if you feel like I didn't do it accurately. The next year when I do it again, I can make adjustments. I don't put start dates. I know some people put start dates on their projects. I know that if I started in 2022, I can look in my book of days and I can find when I started working on it, but I generally don't put a start date. I do put start and I'll put what it is, and then when I finish, I'll put finished, and I keep track of my finishes, but I don't put that date. So this one, I wanted to do this one. I thought they were doing it as a stitch along, but then I guess it was just a pattern that came out. And so I didn't get very far in it after I bought it. I really love this pattern. It's Sleigh Ride by It's So Emma, the Fat Quarter Shop. I just think that's so cute. And it's a lot of dense stitching. This is stitched on the 32 count mint splash, and I really like the mint splash. And here's where I'm at. I've only started the white tree, the green tree, and a little bit of the little red house. So I want to get that one done. I think it's the only Christmas piece that I didn't finish last year, which is pretty good because I had a lot of Christmas finishes. All right, so now this one is a little bit hard to explain. So if you go to Pinker and Pumpkin, I think the designer's name is Melissa. Yes, it is Melissa. She is such an amazing person. So she charts all kinds of different patterns, and then she puts them on her blog each time she designs them. And I want to say at least one pattern a week, but she may do more than that. She might even do a couple a week, and she puts them on there. Well, last year she came out with, and I don't have a picture of it, she came out with a sampler of different fall things, and it was different boxes to make fall. And I printed them all out, and my intention was to do them until I started thinking, I've been following her for a long time, and she does a lot of crow patterns and a lot of sunflower patterns. So what I ended up doing was I went and looked up every single crow or sunflower themed pattern, and I printed them out, and I decided to make a sampler of those instead. So I haven't gotten very far yet. Here is the big one, and this one is called the Old Crow Salt Box. So there's going to be a salt box right here. And then all the little boxes around it are going to be ones that she's done with crows. So if you've never seen her patterns, you want to look up, Google Pinker and Punkin Quilting, and that'll take you to her blog. And then the easiest way to do it is if you can look on the sidebar, and you can, there's a search, but you can also look for titles. Sometimes when I go to her site, I will see a title and it'll say crows, and I'll click on that. You could also click on fall. I just went through all the different ones. And when you're looking at her blog on a specific entry, she will have linked other patterns that fall into that same group of patterns. And you can just click from there and move on to the next one. So I did. And so when I have this done, it'll be quite the pattern to see. And I can't wait to share it with her and show her what I did. She also has other things besides crows. She has lots of salt boxes. She has a bunch of Christmas designs. I would definitely go check her out. She's pretty amazing, and she does it all, and she gives it out for free. That's so generous. All right, so this next one was another 12 by 12. This one I've been dying to do. When I went to the retreat, the SoCal Stitchers retreat, I worked on it for 2 hours over there. So I did the 1 hour on 12 by 12 and 2 hours there, and that's all I've done on it. But it is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. I love this piece so much, and look at that border. Isn't it glorious? I love that border, and that's where I started. So here is where I'm at. I just think it's so pretty. And this is stitched on another 32 count linen, natural linen. And I just love this piece so much. It's funny, you love a pattern so much, and then you have these whips, and they don't get finished. And I think it's I think I went from being a very focused stitcher in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, very focused stitcher, one by one, and to an ADHD stitcher, because I will stitch something, and I don't put it down because I don't like it. I either put it down because the season ends, or something else sparked my interest and I moved to there. So I'm sure you can all relate. All right, we're up to the last one, and this one was on my WIP Go board along with my sister-in-law's piece. This is the other WIP Go not finished piece that I should have finished. Otherwise, WIP Go was successful. Every goal that I had on WIP Go, I completed except for those two pieces. And this is the second one. And this one, I did do one because I had due I had it on there several times to finish a house. So that way, by the time the year ended, I would have them all done. And this was a Lakeside Needlecraft exclusive by Shannon Christine. It was a stitch long. It was called Seasonal Streets, and I had to put it in a binder because here's the design. I know it's not very clear, but you'll see mine in just a minute. And what's really neat about this is, so you get a page that has each house on it, and then you get a second page that has the back stitching that goes to that house. So it was a lot of pages. So I just put them in sheet protectors, and I was working on it. And then what's really neat is the border. It's seasonal too. So part of the border is, each part of the border is part of each season. So let me show you. So here is, I'm trying to make sure I show you the front, not the back. Okay. Here is my piece. I just have this last house here, and then I just have the border to do. So I did, when I pulled this out for WIP Go, I completed this one, and I completed this one, so I just had one more to do, and finish the border. Let me go slow. So I love this one. You can see that's winter. This is the winter border. It has the little baubles for Christmas. And then we move along, and there's spring border, and it has like flowers and a cute little bird in its nest. I don't know if you can see, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be able to see where I'm at. So I still have the fall and summer. Yeah, because this is, I believe, the beginning of summer border right here. So then that means that the fall's over here. So it will go summer and then fall. And then that'll be it. And I have no idea how I'm gonna finish it. I might frame it. Most likely I'm gonna frame it. And that is just stitched on a 14 count blue Ada. It wasn't anything special, and it was all DMC. So those are my WIPs. So not so bad. I know some people worry about how many WIPs they have. I did originally think I had at least 60, and the reason why is I had one basket that held my my WIPs, but it also held pieces that I've kitted up. And so when I saw the stack, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how many I have. Well, then when I started sorting through it, I found 4 empty project bags, and then I found a bunch of kits that I didn't start, the things that I purchased. Everything. I love 1-2-3 Stitch because you click on the item and then you can click all the floss so that it sends everything to you all at once. So I've done that a few times, and then I just stick it in a project bag in hopes that when I'm ready to start it, it's all there. So that's why when I saw the pile, I was like, oh my goodness, I must have got out of hand. But when you think of 102 finishes, really, I didn't do so badly because 27 here, and then the ones from NYE for a total of 32. That's not so bad. I don't feel bad about it at all. And I know that I work quickly, so I'm sure I'll work through them. How many more I'll add, who knows, because I know a lot of people are trying to watch on their shopping, but I look at it this way. If you're stitching and you're happy and you see something you want to do, you should just do it, because life is too short to put limitations on yourself for things. Because even if you don't stitch it, you get to enjoy looking at it in your file. And I do that a lot. Right now I'm still categorizing my projects. And as I categorize them and put them into my spreadsheet, I get to look at them and enjoy them all over again, just like I'm doing right now in this WIP parade. And to me, if it makes you happy, then just do it. Why put limitations? I can understand if you need to cut back on spending because maybe you have other things that you need to spend your money on so that you can afford to do something or pay for something. That I totally get, completely get. If that's the case, then you should see Melissa's website, because she has a lot of freebie patterns that you could print and work on. But I figure if you see it and you like it and you want it, you should just get it, because you see on those second market how people are selling patterns that are no longer in service, like you can't order them anymore. And they charge all this money for someone to purchase that. And if you just buy it when you see it, then you won't have to worry about that happening to you. I certainly am not going to spend that much money on a pattern if I can get it now and stitch it way later, or get it now and just enjoy looking at it. So that's my WIPs. I hope you enjoyed watching. I will be back with a regular floss tube this weekend before I head back to work, and then I'll show you what I've been working on and what I finished. I want to say I already have 2 finishes for this year, plus I have the 2 that I finished on New Year's Eve, which I can't wait to show you. So I'll see you back in Flosstube 33, and until then, be confident, be courageous, be creative, and be kind. And I'll see you later. Happy New Year. Bye.